Alright, so this video is for the people who are having issues with their Vicious Ant Valkyrie, with it either not firing or the unit heating up, specifically the button heating up. I'm going to walk you through taking it all apart and what I did to fix mine, and it works like a champ now. So a couple things you're going to need. Obviously you're going to need your Valkyrie itself. You will need a pair of needle nose pliers or a pair of very strong tweezers. Some sort of prying tool, something with a very small tip on it here. Tweezers optional. Some people have better hand-eye coordination than I do and can get to some of the things with the tweezer. I also have several different grits of sandpaper here. I've got 400, 800, 1000, and 2000. All of these can be found at your local Walmart in the auto section, not in the paint section. An additional step I like to take is I do like to go ahead and hit the contacts with some polishing compound. Just give them a nice shine. Obviously the flatter the surface, the better contact is being made. So let's go and get started. Go ahead and take the button off your Valkyrie and set it off to the side. The adjuster screw here is reverse threaded, so twist it clockwise to remove it. Now the black Delrin that's here, you'll notice that there are two screws, or my mistake, two holes opposite each other of the screw hole, and you may or may not be able to see mine, but mine is fairly chewed up, and that's just because there were no good walkthroughs on how to do this, so I kind of trial and error. So what you do is you take your needle nose or your strong pair of tweezers, kind of place them in the holes here, and you twist counterclockwise. Now, if you have been having a hot button issue, this will not be easy, but I can assure you it does move. And the reason it won't be easy is the extra heat generated. It makes the Delrin swell up a little bit, which again is what's actually causing the problems for the not firing at all. So once you get that piece out, you'll see that you'll have a completely flat side and the side where your adjuster screw goes. Now looking in there, you can see your actual contact pin and another small piece of black Delrin. This is where your pry tool comes into place. You wedge it between your contact pin and the Delrin, and you pry on it and it'll just pop right out. This piece is not threaded. Now if you're having any issues with this, one of the tricks that I learned was if you can squeeze it between the contact pin and the Delrin and slant it aside a little bit and push the contact pin up, then it'll help pop that piece of Delrin out. Now you'll see you've got your contact pin and a small C-clip in there. That's what I use the other end of my pry tool for. I push the button up here with this finger, and that lets me get into that C-clip and just pop that C-clip right out. Now keep hold of the button because it is spring-loaded, and you got your C-clip. Now when you pull your button out, make sure that you remember the orientation of your spring. The spring does only go in one way. And now your button is completely disassembled. So the actual fix is you take each piece of sandpaper, starting at 400, moving to 800, 1000, 2000, and you lay it here flat, and you take each point that's making actual contact. So your adjustment screw, the flat side of the large piece of threaded Delrin, and your contact button, and you basically just sand them all down. Give them a nice smooth surface. What I like to do is I like to lay the sandpaper down, take whatever piece that I'm sanding, and we'll use this one as an example, lay it on there, just move it around. You don't have to put a lot of pressure, you don't have to, really get on it, but just kind of make sure that it's a nice flat. Check it every now and then, make sure you're not rounding it, that you are indeed making a flat surface. As you go through, again, 400, 800, 1000 to 2000, and then I like to hit mine with a little bit of polishing compound, just give it a nice shine, makes it a better contact surface. Once you're done, you take this piece of Delrin, the part that was not threaded, and you will notice that on one side of it, it does have a groove machined into it, whereas the other side of it is completely flat. That flat side, lay on the 800 grit sandpaper and sand it down. Sand about a half a millimeter off that. The biggest problem of why people are having the hot button or the not firing issue is this specific piece of Delrin swells up a little bit and makes that contact between the actual contact button and this piece of bottom brass, makes it a very, very poor contact. And when it has a poor contact, it generates that much more heat, which causes the Delrin to swell that much more. Just a compounding issue. So we just sand down that piece of Delrin, as you can probably see from the reflection, not sure if you can or not, that I've already sanded mine down. And from that point on, it is just reassembly. Now keep in mind that this is a trial and error. You, first time, may not sand down enough of the Delrin and you may run into a non-firing issue again. So we'll take our spring. From what I've noticed, as you should be able to see here, the spring has two wires there and not on this side. Where the more compacted part of the spring is the part that goes to the button. You'll know you've got it in correctly when the button will actually go flush. If you put it in backwards, it will not go in all the way. Then flip the button over, make sure you hold that in with your finger there. And this is where I take my tweezers and I just kind of goes in there. Some people can actually get it exactly where they need to get it with the tweezers. I, on the other hand, do need a little help. And there we go, squeezed it right in. And just make sure that everything's functioning properly. It doesn't look like I got mine lined up just right yet. There we go. Now you see what it looks like all the way in there. And from there, you take the non-threaded piece of Delrin, lay the grooved side downwards, so the side that you sanded will be facing up, and you just kind of poke it down in there. And at this stage, you should be able to check it pretty easy. If you lay your finger over it, over the Delrin, over the hole where the contact button should come up, and push the button, you should be able to feel that contact raise a little bit higher than that Delrin. I know when I first took mine apart, I couldn't feel it. Yep, and we're still good. From there, you take your threaded piece, and again, some people should be able to do it by hand. I need a little mechanical assistance. And it just threads in clockwise. Now, when you're threading this in, there's really no need to worry about over threading because you have that other piece of Delrin down there at the bottom, and so when it's done, it'll let you know. It won't go any further. If you've got a smaller pair of needle nose than this, that'd be pretty handy. This just happened to be what I grabbed. Alright, looks like that is all the way in. Take our actual adjuster screw. Again, remember it is reverse threaded, so you go counterclockwise to get it to go back in there. And let me show you why I like to shine it up with a little bit of metal polish. Got our EFS 2000 from here, so 18650. And it's right at 420, just fresh off the charger. .420. That appears to me to be less than a 0.00 voltage drop. So that's it. At that point, just go ahead and coil it up and enjoy a mod that now hits and looks amazing.